Let's talk about this goddamn thing. The Luxe Idol. There are some pictures of it right there. Finally, I mean, it took like, what felt like forever. They kept saying it was going to be out in January, and it wasn't. They missed it by a handful of hours. They were about 20 hours late. On St. Martin, there we go. We were about, they were about 20-something hours late. But, it's better than nothing. I kind of was expecting it to be later. And, I don't know. DLX Luxe told us that this was going to be like the most redesigned Luxe they've ever made. And I guess so. I mean, from what it looks like the most redesigned Luxe they've ever made. It's going to probably have, we haven't actually seen inside the thing yet. We've just got to see these pictures. So it's kind of hard to say what the internals are like. But it looks like a Luxe. It still kind of looks like a TM40 on the back, how it has that back cap that's kind of sloped downward. Looks like a Luxe. They definitely changed the screen, though. I mean, it had that OLED screen previously on the rear of the trigger frame, and now we've got that big OLED on the side. Back to the TM40, not a TM40, back to the Idol. We can definitely see that screen there on the side. It's big. I don't know if it's bigger or smaller, though, than we'll say on the die guns. I mean, the die guns, like the M3 Pluses and the M2, really, had that big, huge OLED screen on the side, and we're kind of seeing that same thing with the Idol. And it really reminds me of the old Angel. So people remember that the Angel A1, the A1 Fly, and then the SB, the smooth-bodied Angel, had an OLED screen somewhat similar to that, maybe about half the size, in a very familiar location. The Angel had like this cool toggle up and down switch, so I'm kind of curious how they're controlling the navigation, or if it's only going to be with one button and through the trigger like it kind of was previously. Well, no, they had a toggle also on the inside of the Luxe for a little bit there. We'll find out. And one thing I did notice for sure, I did actually put that picture up, didn't I? One thing I definitely noticed was, let's see if we can pull that up, just how much different the interior of that trigger frame looks. I mean, I think that we can see that speaker still in there, that kind of squarish silver spot on the bottom of the trigger frame and the bottom of that grip. I'm pretty sure is still the speaker, but you can see those stainless steel kind of clips right there below. Every time I'm like, there we go. You can see that stainless steel kind of clip below the screen. I'm definitely curious to what that is. I mean, if we look at the TM40 frame, it's quite a bit different. So I'm just kind of curious about what that thing looks like. We can't see, I was looking around, but we can't really see a spot for USB charging. But, I imagine it's still USB rechargeable and all that stuff. But I guess we'll, find out very soon. These things are kind of for pre-order. Not kind of, they're certainly for pre-order. And, I would recommend looking at a link in the description if you want to check them out, all the colors, or if you want to pre-order one of these, definitely look at bfpgear.com. There's a link in the description straight over to their website. Help support me and the sponsors of this whole thing that make this whole thing possible. We can see that they changed, let's go back a little bit. The on-off lever is quite a bit shorter and looks a little bit more redesigned. I've never been a fan of that lever style on-off, but we'll see. That front foregrip, it definitely reminds me of the Virtue Ace, like a custom version. I think that the Ace was the Ace a Luxe X? I am forgetting now. The Luxe X, or maybe it was the TM40, but it definitely reminds me a little bit of that with that foregrip and how it kind of has those ridges that kind of extrude or pop out the front of the foregrip. The foregrip does look a little bit smaller, though. I mean, it just looks smaller. Whether it is smaller or not, I don't know. The trigger frame looks a little smaller. We kind of have a little bit of a double trigger now. Versus the just blade style that they had before. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it really kind of is the most redesigned, Luxe they've ever made. But it still definitely looks like a Luxe. We got toolless grips, it looks like now. Yeah, definitely going to be toolless grips. How those attach, I don't know. But let's hope they're easy to take off, kind of like the Eclipse ones, and not a pain in the ass like the die grips. I hate not stand the die grips. What are you guys seeing in here? Let's switch back real fast. Let's switch over. Nick says I'm getting one of these. Me too, hopefully. I mean, I don't know. You know, I thought we were gonna kind of have them earlier in the year, or you know, in January at some point. So I don't know when we're actually gonna have these things. Hopefully they fixed the battery contact issue. You know, I don't really know about that. I mean, I can see how it could happen, but I don't know. David says, I think DLX is going to have to give a video explanation of what's new and why it's better. The used Luxe prices seem to have plummeted before this announcement. You know, Luxes have always been sort of cheap in the aftermarket. I feel like the Planet Eclipse guns are the only ones that are like really, really maintaining their value, unless you've got like, you know, an old cool autococker or something. DLX is the best we have ever made. Yeah, well, yeah, let's hope so. It reminds me of the iPhone. They're like, the best iPhone ever. Well, you're like, yeah, well, you're going to say like the one 4 years ago was better? I hope it's the best one. You know, yeah, they made that cool video with the Shocker Era where they kind of went over all the different features and what was actually different. So let's look forward to hopefully seeing the same thing kind of with the TM40. I think that those videos by the manufacturers are very, very good because they're going to touch on little teeny changes that I don't really know. I don't know about or just don't know in detail enough to comment, you know, like they can. So let's hope for it. We'll kind of see. I'm wondering, I'm kind of overwhelmed. They're going to have some cool stuff to make it worth the money. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can get a TM40, I imagine, right now for about half the price of this thing brand new. These are going to be $1,800. So they're definitely increasing the price on those things quite a bit. Yeah, Jonathan in the chat says, not even on the page, it say what different. Yeah, that's kind of true. You know, we haven't really been able to find literally any information on it. You'd think that they'd actually put like, you know, features that are changed, like, you know, added an OLED screen and, you know, this is part of the new bolt and the trigger's different and we redesigned the on-off and, you know, you'd think they'd say those things, but they have not.